Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Fly Tying Thursday, which is actually on a Wednesday for tonight, April 1st. And no, that's not an April Fool's joke, 2026. We have a very special guest tonight. I have no announcements other than to say that, Mike, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Tonight, we have a guest speaker here. It's Paul Bunker from West Denver Trout Unlimited. He has a presentation that he does at fly shows, and it's basically X marks the spot. And it's about fairly easy access to fishing areas in Yellowstone National Park. And so welcome, Paul, and I'll switch the spotlight over to you.
Once again, thanks so much for allowing me an opportunity to talk about my passion, which is fly fishing in Yellowstone National Park. My first trip to the park was in 2003 with my older brother for 3 days. We had about 20 hours available to fly fish. We had no idea where we were going. So we spent, I would say, 14 hours driving around and 6 hours of fishing, 3 of which we were fishing in waters that had no fish, and 3 hours of waters that did have fish. And the ones that we didn't get. I think we got 1 or 2 through 3 days of effort. But since then, I've been part of the volunteer fly fishing program in Yellowstone since 2005, and this was the best gig that I ever possibly could have had. All we had to do was get our gear in the morning, throw it in a van, and we drove to wherever the parks office, fisheries office, wanted data on. So we got a chance to travel the entire park. And so I said that no one should endure the pain that my older brother and I endured for those 3 days. So I came up with this presentation about X marks the spot, places that I have fished over the years. This beautiful picture by Terry Gibbons is Trout Lake. And we'll talk about Trout Lake in a little bit, but if you have a day or a few hours, and you don't even have to go fishing, the beauty of it is just amazing. So if you're going from Omaha, pack a couple of sandwiches because it's going to take you a couple of days to get there. It's a 14-hour drive if you go through I-80, then up I-25, into Cody and into the east area. So, you know, it's whoever wants to drive that in a single day, God bless you. I mean, it's a long way, but it certainly is beautiful. As you come into the park, you can come into the park in multiple places. Most likely you'll be coming in the east gate out of Cody. You could come out of the northeast gate, Creek City, Montana, or go through what is it, I-90, and coming down from Bozeman, and entering the park from Gardner. And then you've got West Yellowstone, Montana on the west. And then if you come in from the south, which is gorgeous because you'll get to see the Tetons, it's Jackson, Du Bois, and Lander, Wyoming. All 3 areas are just absolutely beautiful. The problem is getting out of the ugly, well, I don't want to say it's ugly, it's just different kind of scenery in Wyoming. But these are all the X's, that all the places that I have fished, and there are others, but these are the ones I want to focus on. They're basically divided up into 3 sections. Section 1 is the Yellowstone River. Section 2 will be the northeast corner, and Section 3 will be the Gibbon, Madison, Firehole River, and a couple of creeks that you can fish as you come down Mammoth, from Mammoth down to Norris. So first time we'll take section 1, the Yellowstone River. And the first X marks the spot is a little bit, maybe 3 miles south of Fishing Bridge as you come into the park. And there's the Bridge Bay Campground, an excellent place to put a camper. You need to, there's a certain area that looks like Woodstock because it's all open and there's plenty of tents and smoke and stuff. But there's also a lot of nice areas that you're in the trees. But from the Bridge Bay Campground, you can take this small little road. It's called the Gull Point Drive, and it's a cement wall that keeps the lake from tearing the roads apart. And right here, no less than 25 yards, you're out in the water and casting for some nice cutthroats. Gull Point has a exit here, and there's a nice trail that goes down here, and then you just walk along the beach. This is a very steep hill, but you can walk along the beach and just cast from shore and put yourself in places that you'll be able to catch Yellowstone cutthroats like this size. So that's Yellowstone Lake. As you go north, the first thing you're going to find is Fishing Bridge. This is an old picture from 1972, I believe, where they had no restrictions on fishing. Now it's obviously no fishing at all because they want to protect the spawning cutthroats. But maybe you have a memory of fishing like this. What's really nice is that below the bridge, you're going to catch smaller cutthroats like this. And even though they may be disappointing in size, it's very encouraging that we're finally beginning to see smaller Yellowstone cutthroat showing up on the Yellowstone River. And then we also have, this is Dr. Todd Kuhl. He is the fisheries director or lead biologist in the park. And every year they do some sampling. And this is one of the larger cutthroats that they pulled out. So there are big cutthroats near the Fishing Bridge. The first area is by the Lahardie Rapids, and you'll know them because they are rapids. It's pretty significant in the spring. They mellow out a little bit in the summer. But before you get to them, there's a little pull out here and a short 200-yard walk and very easy access where you can go halfway into the river and cast a hopper and a dropper or an indicator with 2 bugs. Very easy. And then below Lahardie, you come up to a couple of pullouts. One here, and it's a fairly steep wall of about 10 feet. And you can look at the river and see if there's any cutthroats rising. And then you can either cast from the bank or walk down here and carefully walk the shoreline.
Paul, is it just cutthroats in this section, or?
The only fish that you'll catch is Yellowstone cutthroats in the Yellowstone River.
Huh.
One of the prettiest places is the Cascade Picnic Ground, and this is the area where you can fish. I ran into this here is Domingo Rodriguez. This is his first day in the park, and he came up with a 22-inch cutthroat on a hopper and dropper. He caught it on a three-weight rod. It was sort of like taking a knife to a gunfight, but it was amazing to see him work this fish for 10 minutes. Going further north, you come across the Hayden Valley area where there's a 6-mile area where you are not allowed to fish from the mud volcanoes all the way to Alum Creek. There's no fishing because there's so much animal traffic that they don't want anybody disturbing the animal traffic. And when I talk animal traffic, we're talking about buffalo. And one of the favorite terms that you'll hear is getting stuck in a buffalo jam. And this is what it looks like when you're driving through it from a Google Earth perspective. This is what it's like. You have to understand that people coming into the park, a lot of them have never really seen any wild animals. So they will stop on a dime if they see an antelope, a coyote, a bison, especially bison and bears. And so you have to be very patient, and you can get through it easy, but you have to know what you're doing. And then further down the Yellowstone River, there is a place called Otter Creek. And this is Tony Kruzek. He's a gentleman from Kansas City. And once again, this is his first day on the river. And he was lucky to pull out this 20-inch cutthroat, again on a hopper dropper. And the water is very easy to wade. You can wade practically across the entire river. Very small rocks. There's no rocks that you have to climb over. Very small pebbles, and it's just easy wading. It's just absolutely beautiful. Sometimes you'll have elk and bison coming down from the sides and visiting you. Then you come up to Canyon Village, which is probably the best place to find a camping spot, and it has a lot of neat little areas to fish. The first one is Cascade Creek, which comes from Cascade Lake, a few miles, maybe a mile or two north, and it comes through the forest underneath the road, and then you can follow it all the way into this canyon area. Just have to be careful because there's a lot of wild animals, but it's mostly if you like punching through willows to catch cutthroats and brookies, and this would be a good spot. Another spot is Ice Lake. Excuse me. Let's go to Cascade Lake, which is maybe 1 to 2 miles beyond Canyon Village. And it's about a 2-mile hike, 2.2 mile hike into the Cascade Lake. And you'll be able to cast from shore for cruising grayling and also West Slope cutthroats. Gets kind of windy in the afternoon, so go in the morning and fish a little bit.
Hey, before
Another
we get
lake.
too far away from Yellowstone Lake, have they solved the lake trout issue in the lake?
I've got a
I have a
few
question from
slides.
John.
I have a few slides at the very end that I'll discuss that.
Okay.
It's improving. So the next spot that I have fished is Ice Lake. It is along the road from Canyon Village to Norris. It's a very short hike and very wide trail. You could actually take a cart, or if you're bringing in a float tube, it's very easy to access. You'll be able to catch grayling that they have restored in the past 3 to 5 years. They're now reaching about 16 to 18 inches. And last year they actually caught a west slope that they think came into the lake in the spring during high water. One of the bad things so far is they haven't caught any small grayling. So, unless we start seeing some strong signs that they're actually reproducing, they may have to rethink the idea of putting fish in Ice Lake. Through history, Ice Lake had been determined to be fishless. And one of our taskings in the program was to actually fish Ice Lake to see if we caught a fish. And we fished it all day long through float tubes, didn't catch anything. But they restored it 3 years ago, so we'll see what happens. Now, across the road from Ice Lake, there is the Gibbon River Meadows. And if you like just to walk along very easy It's just a mountain stream, no bigger than 4 feet across. And if you get up closer to where the river crosses the road, you'll be getting into Grayling and West Lobe. They've also restored this 4 to 5 years ago, and they're very proud of the results. And then going towards north, you go over Dunraven Pass. It is beautiful. It's got a lot of wild animals, pretty flowers. Uh, Grizzlies are on the hills in the spring, teaching their young to get into the roots. And then as you get to Mount Washburn, you'll come up to black bears that are climbing the trees. So it's pretty nice. And down below, as you get towards Tower, there's a place called the Yellowstone at Tower Falls. Here is the actual general store, and you follow this trail to the switchbacks that you go, and you go down about 1,000 feet, and you eventually wind up on the Yellowstone River. And there's some very smooth water. You have to be careful in some spots, but one guy caught 37 cutthroats in an afternoon, so he found the sweet spot. And then on the way back, you can have a ice cream at the ice cream at Tower General Store. My favorite was Huckleberry. So that's area number one. Now we'll focus on area number two, which perhaps is the best fly fishing in the park in the northeast corner, because you're going to be fly fishing Slough Creek, the Lamar River, and Trout Lake and Pebble Creek. But you have to understand that the northeast corner has changed in the past couple of years due to climate change. And let me see if I can get this thing to roll. This happened in 2022. And this is the Lamar River during the June 2022. It was the channel for all the waters in the northeast corner and really did a lot of damage to the canyon. It moved bus-sized rocks and stones, and this is the area going up towards Quick City, got wiped out. This is the area by Mammoth where they lost the road into the park. So what I'm trying to say is that if you haven't been to the northeast corner in the last 4 years, some of the holes, some of the runs that you're familiar with are no longer there. They have changed. So first area I wanted to talk about is Slough Creek. And this is the entrance right off the road. There's a nice vaulted restroom here. And then as you go up the road, anytime you see a pullout, stop and go towards your left, and you'll run into Slough Creek. This is the Slough Creek campgrounds, the famous Slough Creek Meadows, Meadow 1, 2, and 3. So if you do one of those pullouts, this is what you're going to see. It looks like lakes tied together by rivers. An amazing view that you can look down and see cutthroats going up and down the river. This is my wife pulling out a cutthroat. This is the beginning. You have to be in pretty good shape to get into the meadows. This is the entrance to Slough Creek. This is where the trailhead begins. This is the trailhead starting, and then you walk up. You have to be in moderate condition to actually attempt to walk up the hill. It's a pretty steep hill. It's got a lot of switchbacks, but if you're in moderate shape, you can do it. The first meadow you'll see as you It takes about an hour, maybe 45 minutes to get to, and then you walk to do the um, Slough Creek Meadows number 2, and then into Montana to do Slough Creek Meadow number 3. Um, the fish are very spooky, but the area is just beautiful. And these are some of the fish that you're going to see in the meadows. Again, another picture of my wife. And the next area that I want to talk about is the Lamar Soda Butte area, and I call it the land of 1,000 refusals. You may have the right fly, but you'll spend most of the time just going, because you'll see the fish coming up out of the dark and just coming up to the fly and just going back down. So anytime, if you go up into the confluence of the Soda Butte coming down here and the Lamar River coming into the banks, anytime you see a bank that is dark, throw a bug in. If there's nothing rising, throw a caddis in, or what SLS, which is a Slough Lamar Soda Butte fly that is done by Craig Matthews out of Blue Ribbon Flies. Again, this is the kind of fish that you'll be catching anywhere from normally 14 to 20 to 22 inches. As you go northwest, you'll come up to the actual Soda Butte, which is the geological formation that the creek is named after.
Hey,
Trout Lake, go ahead.
Paul,
Yep,
real quick, what was the name of that fly again?
SLS is called
SLS.
Yep, sparkle duns work well,
Okay.
as well as the Drake Mackerel.
And then we had another question. Do you need Wyoming and Montana
Great
license
question.
to
No,
fish Meadow 2 and 3?
the only it's since it's in the park, the only license you'll need is a park permit that
Okay.
you can get at any store or get ahead of time at recreation.gov.
Okay.
I think it's 25 for 3 days, 40 for 7, and 75 for the year. And you can fish anywhere in the park with that permit.
Okay. Thanks.
Trout Lake, you'll be able to see cruisers as you walk around the lake. Belly boats work best, gives you access to all the water. But this guy came up right at the entrance to a miller moth, and it was the prettiest cutthroat that I have caught in Yellowstone. And this is what it looks like in the Pebbles, Sort of Butte Creeks. Plenty of access, easy access, plenty of easy places to cross the river. You just have to find those dark runs and holes. And if you see part of a bank that has fallen in and there is a little channel of water, give that little channel a try, because those big cutthroats don't want to spend a lot of effort. And I've seen some very large cutthroats in those little channels as the creek degrades. Since it's a recovery area, the Yellowstone National Park volunteer fly fishing program has tagged a lot of the fish in the confluence, the Slough Creek and Soda Butte area. They have a phone number, have a serial number on the tag. They ask that you call the fisheries office with that information and where you caught it. Okay, area number 3 is the road from northeast corner to Mammoth, all the way down from Mammoth to Norris, and then following the Gibbon River, and this is the fire hole. It's basically a windy uphill drive from the Tower Roosevelt Lamar Valley Junction to Mammoth and then down to Norris. I've seen a lot of bears down there. It's well known for brookies and bears, and so you need to follow the three golden rules of Yellowstone National Park. Bring bear spray and know how to use it. When you have a bear charging you from 50 yards, 30 yards, you'll be amazed at how quickly that distance is covered. And if you're fumbling around with the lock on the spray and you don't know where to spray it, you know, the second rule applies is never be the slowest one in the group. And if you are, if you're in doubt, always refer to rule number one. Always bring bear spray, regardless of where you're at. Unless, of course, you have a few skills.
Oh, this.
Thank you, John West, for that commercial. It's probably about 20 years old, but it still makes me laugh. As I said, this is Brookie and Bear Country, all the way from Mammoth down to Norris. You'll see these willows in the creeks that are flowing through them, and right beyond those are open fields where you'll find a lot of grizzly bear activity. And then going further west, you'll come up to the junction of the Gibbon and Firehole River. The Gibbon River flows here. The Firehole River goes north, and it forms the Madison River. This is where the Madison River starts. And my wife and I's favorite spot on the Madison is right beyond the junction at the first cutout. And you'll be able to see a lot of elk crossing the river, a lot of fishermen casting very small BWOs to rising rainbows. And then going down the Firehole River, this is my wife's and my favorite spot on the Firehole, or used to be, and it's called Biscuit Basin. And then you can go down to the Fountain Flats and a little special pond that I call Carl's Pond. This is Biscuit Basin when we were fishing on a Sunday, not part of the program. My wife was catching a nice 12-inch rainbow, and we were looking at risers. And then 2 years ago, it changed. 2 years ago, there was a thermal explosion that wiped out Biscuit Basin. It is now closed. We used to fish right down here. So it's pretty interesting to see what thermal activity does. Fountain Flats, yes.
When you're talking about small blue-winged olives, how small?
22s, 20s.
Okay.
And this is one of our favorite pictures of, we had no idea that this bison was across the river and so close to us. We were on the Firehole at Fountain Flats looking at rainbows rising below us. And then don't be surprised if you see a osprey in the area. This picture was taken by a national park ranger who is talking with my older brother, John, and they heard a big splash, and out came the osprey with a good 14-inch brown. So it is amazing. You know, sometimes the practice of angling, or the opportunity to angle in such a unusual place, is best.
At least it was a brown trout.
It was a brown trout. The Firehole River has non-native browns and rainbows. I've got a slide coming up that talks about blue ribbon flies, and I'll wait to talk about what to look for. But this little patch of water is named Carl's Pond. He's a 6'4" guy from Pennsylvania, and he came across this and was just amazed that he could catch 10 to 14-inch browns and rainbows. It's unnamed, so we called it Carl's Pond, and it looks like this. You're looking south towards the thermal activity, and again, this is Domingo Rodriguez catching one of those small but very feisty trout that are in the pond. You can stop and pull out right as Nez Perce Creek flows underneath the highway. Just stop at the pullout, walk around the trees about 150 yards, and you'll see the little postage stamp pond. Supposedly, it was a rearing pond for the restaurants in the park at one time. During high water, fish can come up through Nez Perce and also the fire hole to get to the pond, but there's always fish in it. And this is probably the best best fly shop in West Yellowstone. It's called Blue Ribbon Flies. You can see the email address, but it has maps of the entire Blue Ribbon, the entire fire hole, and also the Madison River. And they are just so helpful to any angler that wants to fish in the park. Give them a call. Also in the fall in the Madison River, right as it comes into West Yellowstone from Hebgen Lake and then goes into the park. Every fall they have these fall runners that come in and come into the park. And I would suggest that if you're in the park September, October until it closes, to get a hold of Montana Trout on the Fly, Nate Stefan, and he'll be able to set you up for just an amazing day of fishing. It's kind of brutal sometimes because of the conditions, but the benefits certainly outweigh the unfortunate. This is a picture of blue ribbon flies in West Yellowstone. It is, as I said, an excellent fly shop. Has an excellent weekly newsletter. Every week, 52 weeks out of the year, it will tell you what's going on in the park. And when it's in the brutal months of November through March, they will talk about the risers that they see on the Madison that doesn't freeze, all the midges that come up, and they'll give you tying instructions and everything. On the north part of the park, outside in Gardner, there's another fly shop. It is run by Richard Parks. He is a veteran, about 75. I'm not sure of his health at the moment, but he will help you out as much as he can. So on the north side, went up in the northeast corner, here's a spot as well. A couple of recommended reads that I have for you for the favorite flies for Yellowstone is written by Paul Weimer. He is the coordinator for the volunteer or the Yellowstone National Park fly fishing volunteer program. He's the one to get a hold of if you want to participate in the program. The next read would be the Yellowstone Fly Fishing Guide. This is the updated version. It was written by Craig Matthews and Clayton Molinaro. Craig was the founder and original owner of Blue Ribbon Flies. And I will send Mike a YouTube where he talks to a podcaster about fly fishing Yellowstone, Firehole River. I haven't reviewed the entire podcast, but it's going to be interesting since Craig is the expert for everything Yellowstone. Any questions about fly fishing Yellowstone?
About 5,000.
Excuse me?
About 5,000 questions.
About 5,000. Well, you'll you'll get my email address, and if you want to talk logistics, that's an entire different presentation because you've got so many opportunities around the park. Gardner, Cody, Cook City, Cody, Jackson, and West Yellowstone. Those are the 5 entrance points. And from there, you can get a VRBO, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But the Yellowstone.
Let's start with question number 1.
Excuse me?
Start with question number 1.
What is question number 1?
Out of your 5,000.
Well, I guess the first question I have is Paul Weimer, the program that you were talking about, the volunteer fly, is that still an ongoing program?
Yes, it is. It started, it was on a hiatus since 2017, and it's restarted. It was going to start in 2022, and then the flood had it canceled. So it's restarted in 2023. Paul Weimer is the editor of the Fly Fisherman magazine. He put an article in it called A Week in Wonderland and had just a little ad about if you want to be part of this program, please shoot me an email. And he got 250 emails within the first week. So there's about 60 to 70 volunteers per year that go out 2 days out of the week to participate in the program. Paul is the coordinator. He selects by a random draw those that want to be part of the program. It is centered out of Gardner. Basically, once again, all you have to do is meet at the meeting point, which is a hotel in Gardner, put your stuff in the van, and then drive to the area where you're going to be fishing. And most likely it will be in the northeast corner where they're trying to get rid of all the non-native rainbows and hybrids. There is a creek coming into Slough Creek called Buffalo Creek. If you're interested in finding out more about it, just Google Buffalo Creek Yellowstone cutthroat restoration. That's an entire presentation in itself. Okay, talking a little bit about where the Yellowstone recovery project out of Yellowstone Lake is. The pictures that you see now is basically what happens when some knuckleheads put some lake trout back in early 1980s, and all of a sudden they saw that the Yellowstone cutthroat population declined about 90 to 95% from 1980 to 2008. And the problem is that they didn't find out that there was lake trout in the lake until 1994, when an angler first reported it to a ranger. Now, if you talk to the fisheries biologist, Dr. Todd Kuhl, he will say that they've always been in the lake. But, I sort of question why all of a sudden out of clear blue, you get this, decline in the Yellowstone cutthroat. One of my questions is, how many lake trout does it take to start the process of decimating a native fish? So once they found out that there was lake trout in the lake, they started gill netting. And this is the results of their gill netting activity since 2001. You'll see that the gray bar is the small mesh catching the small lake trout, and then the white part of the column is the larger sexually mature lake trout, and that's what they really focused on once they started getting. It wasn't until 2010 that they realized that they had a significant problem and were about to lose the entire Yellowstone cutthroat. So they contracted with a company out of the upper Midwest, the Hickey brothers, who brought in several boats, and all of a sudden their gill netting went as high as 400,000 in the year 2017. So they were really focusing on removing the large sexually mature, or targeting the sexually mature lake trout, because they implanted those with radio transmitters so they could actually trace the movement of the large ones throughout the lake. And so now in 2025, you'll see that the annual catch is now less than 300,000. But they also measure what is called the catch per unit of effort. And this is how much effort goes in to capturing these lake trout. And they actually have two types of CPUs. One dealing with the large mesh that catches the sexually mature lake trout. And this is the white bar that goes down. So they still have to spend a lot of effort catching the smaller fish as well, because they get sexually mature at the age of 4 to 5, and they can age anywhere from 25 to 30 years old. And all during that time, they're sexually mature. So they feel that they have seen significant recovery, well, not significant recovery of the Yellowstone cutthroat. They're seeing smaller size Yellowstone cutthroat. You're still catching a lot of 3 to 6 pounders, which is fun. And they're beginning to see more evidence of spawning going up to the spawning creeks. So talking to Pat Bigelow, the scientist, she feels that they're doing the right thing. And unfortunately, this gill netting is going to have to go continuing into the future, because at a certain level, if you don't remove those lake trout, they're going to begin to recover and start attacking the Yellowstone cutthroat, the smaller ones. So they exert about 100,000 CPUEs, or the unit of effort per year. So if they drop down anywhere below 60,000 unit of efforts, then the lake trout will begin to recover. So each year they spend $3 million to do this gill netting operation. So it's something that they're going to have to continue into the future.
Who pays for all these studies?
Who pays for all the cutties? It's
The studies.
The studies.
Yeah.
Yellowstone Forever is
Okay.
is the primary donator to the program. The studies that they're doing is sponsored by Montana State, the University of Wyoming. All the graduate students come in and they will look at specific areas of the process. Currently, they're what they found is that if they dropped lake trout carcasses on the spawning beds, they will kill all the embryos and eggs in that particular area. But unfortunately, that's only been done on one area, and that's Carrington Island, which you can see as you drive along the road. There's about 16 to 20 other identified spawning beds. And what they're doing now is, because you can't, store all those carcasses, they have developed an analog pellet that takes the place of the carcasses, and they drop them down by helicopter onto the spawning sites. Again, this is only Carrington Island. And they have found that these analog pellets do the same thing as the carcasses. They remove all the O2 on the level that the embryos and the eggs are being created. So once they remove the oxygen, all the embryos die. I think They did a study to see how many fry appeared in the springtime on Carrington Island, and there was only less than a dozen. So some of these students are now beginning to look at this process and see what impact it has on the water quality. I should have added a video that I have that shows the gill netting process, where they remove the lake trout, cut them up, and then drop them in the deepest part of the lake, just to restore the level of chemical. I'm not a scientist, so I get kind of confused when I go down that road. So, but that's what they're doing. But they're seeing good results from the gill netting. They hope to expand the dropping of the pellets onto other spawning sites. And again, that's a whole presentation in itself that I'd be more than glad to give if you had, if you needed something. But any questions about the program? Finally, if you're planning to go to Yellowstone, start planning early. Lodging is the most critical piece of the puzzle. Okay. Xanterra is the organization that manages the hotel reservations. Recreation.gov takes care of some of the campsites. And there are some campsites, for example, the Slough Creek campground, that is a first come, first serve. So you'll have to, if you decide to go to Yellowstone, you're going to have to decide whether to go through Xanterra, meaning the lodges inside the park, and recreation.gov for the campsites, or getting a VRBO, Airbnb in the cities that are on the edges of the park.